The war in Gaza created a lot of social media superstars. No doubt one of the most popular of them all is Bassem Youssef, which I admit I also enjoy listening to. The comedian and elegant way of him explaining stuff is very fun to listen to. But unfortunately, 95% of what he says is just not true. Now, Bassem used two very strong elements to grow his popularity and his message he tried to send. Number one is telling a lot of lies. And as research already been proven, lies are spreading significantly faster than the truth. The second element obviously is talking a lot about the hateful and how to hate Israel and how Israel is the evil of all countries. And obviously the anti-Semitism about the world is already on fire, so Bassem just pour more oil. So those two elements together basically grow his popularity all over the social media. But what I want to try to do, I want to try to take some of Bassem Youssef's most popular clips and try to expose the truth to what he says. Now I know most people will ignore this video and most people will not watch this video, but it's just for the small percentage of population that actually wants to listen to the truth. This video is for you, and I really hope you will listen to it and you will try to understand what I'm saying, and obviously if you can, share it. But again, let's hope for the best. Now let's start with one of the most popular videos of Bassem Youssef talking about Hamas and the West Bank.
You condemn Hamas for the atrocity. Yes, I condemn Hamas. Hamas is the source of all evil. And you know what? Let's for a minute imagine a world without Hamas. What will this world look like? Let's give this word a name, and let's name this word the West Bank. Hamas has absolutely no control in the West Bank, and since the beginning of this year, only through August, 37 Palestinian kids were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. Since the occupation of the West Bank, 7,000 Palestinians were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. Yeah, Pierce, listen. I'm not saying that you're making excuses, but if you are adopting a certain point of view, you have to at least defend it. I'm telling you, there is no Hamas in the West Bank. What is the excuse? Not your excuse. What is the excuse to kill those people?
So my dear Bassem, first of all, you're wrong. Hamas is operating in the West Bank. There's a lot of terror cells of Hamas in the West Bank. But let me tell you something more important. It's not that Hamas has some kind of a patent or exclusivity on terror. It's not like Hamas is the only people that kill Israelis and Jews and innocent people. In the West Bank, there's a lot of terror groups and there's a lot of terror events. Even the 7th of October was a mega terror attack. Nothing of the horrifying thing we saw on the 7th of October was unique. For example, in 2011, the horrible massacre that happened on the Fogel family in the West Bank. 2 Arab terrorists entered to a house of an innocent family and slaughtered the entire family, including a baby in his crib. Yeah, I'm talking about 13 years ago in the West Bank. So I'm sorry to tell you, I know it sounds like Gaza and the Palestinian and Hamas are the only terrifying thing, and Hamas is the source of all evil, as you said. But no, also in the West Bank, there's a lot of terror organization, and you need to understand that the reason there's no missiles flying from the West Bank and we don't see a lot of terror happening every day, even the terror attacks happen almost every week from the West Bank, it's because the IDF and Israel are operating to stop it every day. Every day intelligence and combat unit are stopping terror attack in the West Bank. One day we let our guard down, we'll see the 7th of October happening also in the West Bank and also spreading all over Israel. And that's what you need to understand when you talk about it. Now let me reference now to a video that you're talking about the morality of Israel and the morality of the IDF. It's one of the most popular videos you ever made. Let's look at it for a second.
Israel for doing one thing that no military force in the world does. Because I heard Ben Shapiro and I heard Ron DeSantis, and they said Israel is the only military force in the world that warns civilians before bombing them. I mean, how cute. That is so nice of them. Because with this logic, if Russian troops started warning Ukrainians before bombing their houses, we're cool with Putin, right? I mean, okay, Habibi, you have warned them, go invade, it's fine, you have done your job. Israel always victimizes itself, and I have never seen a victim putting their oppressor under siege and bombing them 24/7. Israel wants you to believe that they are the victim.
So yeah, Bassem, you can laugh about it, and again, you can present it in a very cynical, funny way. But I give you a challenge. Find me an army more moral than the IDF. Look at history, look at any war you want. Show me an army that actually warned an enemy before they're going to take a certain place. Now you gave an example of the Russian and the Ukraine, but the Ukraine didn't bomb Russia or went and provoked Russia into a war and Russia retaliate and return. It's not got nothing to do with the same story that we are in it. Now, Hamas, from the other side, is well known, it's a fact, using civilian population as human shield. And yes, they're shooting missiles at Israel. Now, Israel, the army never attacked buildings that are not used as a terror attack or missile is being shot from. And yes, I know you keep talking about hospital, but we already proven to the world, and you can check it, that, for example, the Shifa hospital was operating as a terror base. There's plenty of evidence from Hamas saying it was a terror base. Now, when Israel attacked one of those places, what else do you want us to do? We need to blow up those buildings because, missiles flying from there, or it's a terror base that's planning to attack us. So what more can we do without warning those buildings, those civilians, that, okay, we're going to blow it up right now, so please leave this area. Now, you're making fun of it, but again, nobody ever did it in the history of mankind. So when you judge it, out of which kind of objective way you judging it? Do you have any military experience? Do you even understand how these things been operated? Because I'm telling you right now, and again, I'm challenging you. It's more than any other army ever did in the history of time. And for example, I know you live in the US. If some country crowded with population, civilian population, will shoot missiles into the US, New York, whatever, I promise you right now, the US will blow the shit out of this country and all the area the missiles flying from, because that's the only way to stop the missiles. Now, let's look about another ridiculous thing you said.
This is stupid. And this is very important to look at things in context. When you see how Israelis talk inside their community. There was a very famous post by Uriel Eritzol. He is the speechwriter of Netanyahu. He said, what is so horrific about understanding that the whole Palestinian people are our enemies? All of them are enemy combatants. We should kill them, kill their mother, destroy their homes, the homes that they raised those snakes, so no snakes will be raised in this house anymore. And this was reposted by Ali Chaket, which is the Minister of, wait for it, Justice. It's not about Hamas anymore. It is not about Hamas. They can tell you it's about Hamas, but it's not about Hamas. It is basically, they have said it many times, Pierce. This is a way to kind of push them into Sinai. This is not about eradicating Hamas. This ship has sailed. I am sorry, but anybody who still believes that this is about Hamas is stupid.
So I was looking all over the net to find the quote you said of Uriel Elitzur about what he said. I couldn't find it, and also what you said about Ali Chaket. Wait for it as you said it. She's not the Minister of Justice in Israel. She's not even in the government for a few years. Again, I don't understand exactly where you're getting your information from. Yes, she was in the past, but in the last few years she wasn't. Now, I don't understand, Bassem, why are you so surprised when people say the entire Palestinians or the majority of Palestinians are enemy to Israel or whatever? First of all, let's understand a few things that you know very well known. The majority of Palestinians supporting Hamas. The majority of Palestinians supporting what happened in the 7th of October. When you look at the 7th of October, the majority of people that actually took part of that massacre and the kidnapping, you can see it in the video that Hamas and the Palestinians were publishing in live, was actually random Palestinians. They weren't part of Hamas. Now, if the majority of Palestinians supporting the idea of terror against Israel and supporting the destruction of Israel and the kidnap of innocent people and babies and such, why are you so surprised when somebody says that the majority of Palestinians are enemy to Israel if they stand in about themselves? Now, you're right. I don't think the war that's happening right now is about Hamas. I also don't believe it. I think it's about, first of all, a few things. First of all, there's still hostages right now in Israel. Babies, hostages that are still in captivity in Hamas, and that we need to save them. Let's start with that. The second thing, what you need to understand, that Israel trying to make sure the event that happened on the 7th of October will not happen again. It's got nothing to do with Hamas again. It's again, because if Hamas will fall tomorrow, again, some other entity or some other terror organization can take part of it. So what we need to find is a solution to make sure that the event that happened on the 7th of October will not happen again. It's to create some kind of a deterrent or some of control. We don't want to stay in Gaza. It's well known. We don't want to stay. We left Gaza. We don't want to stay. But we cannot leave. We cannot send the army back. We cannot stop the war tomorrow, as you keep saying, if we think the 7th of October will just happen the day after it again. So, I'm sorry, Bassem, you're right. It's not about Hamas. It's about Israel. It's about Israel make sure that their citizens and civilians will stay safe. Now, I know what you're going to say next. I want to show the video about the land. We keep talking about the land. Let's see what you said about the lands.
You cannot just say, okay, let's talk about peace. And then you take away my land. Let's talk about peace. And there's a kind of like passive aggressiveness happening. Oh, let's talk about it, but I'm going to build settlements. I'm going to suffocate your cities and your villages.
See, I think that has been incredibly inflammatory.
Yes.
It's exhausting to keep talking about history and who was here first and who was not there first and everything involving since like the beginning of the creation of the Bible. And blah. That's not necessarily talk right now. What I want to talk about is exactly what Bassem said about the settlements, about racism. Okay? Because if we are talking about some kind of a Palestinian state happening in Judea and Samaria or in Gaza, whatever, what's so wrong about having some Jewish cities there? Like, if you look at the land of Israel today, even talking about the main cities in the center of the country, forget the West Bank, forget about Gaza. There's plenty of Arab cities, and it's totally fine. We coexist together. We live very good together. So what kind of a racist thing is to say that you're not allowed to have Jewish cities happening in the West Bank? Why? Why not? Why not? Let's just say even if one day the country, the West Bank will become some kind of a part of the Palestinian state, why is not allowed to be any Jewish people in the West Bank? Oh, it's from exactly the same reason why after we left in 2005 from the Gaza Strip and there wasn't even one Jewish person and one Jewish settlement, because if one of them would have stayed there, they would have been murdered. Yes, because that's the Arab mentality. Again, Bassem, I'm sorry, you've probably spent too much time in America. You forgot about the most basic nurture of the Arab mentality, the barbarism. Obviously not all of them, but the majority of Arab tribes. Forget Israel. Take Israel out of the equation. Fighting between themselves. You see it in Iraq, you see it in Libya, you see it in Syria. That's the nature of the Arab mentality of the Arab war. It's keep consisting on fighting. And it's got nothing to do with the land. It's got nothing to do with the land. The land is just an excuse. Because before 67, again, I hate about talking about history, but it's basic thing to understand. Before 67, we weren't in the West Bank. And that territory was owned by Jordan. And they could establish a Palestinian state whenever they wanted. And before that, and before 48, but they never did it. Why? Because the Palestinian state, the idea behind the Palestinian state is just an excuse. Simple as that. Just an excuse to erase the Jewish state. The only Jewish state, the Israeli state. And nobody in the Arab world actually care about the Palestinians. If they would care about it, they would give them some support, or actually they would take them. But even in Gaza, you know, there's a border with Egypt. Egypt doesn't want to accept them, doesn't want to see them. But again, it's just an excuse to kill the Jewish state. It got nothing to do with land. And let me refer to another video of you when you're talking about the Jewish right to go back to the land. Let's see what you said about it.
Yet, a Jewish person born anywhere in the world, born in Poland, born in Ukraine, no question asked, he can jump on a plane, land in Israel, and get the Israeli citizen and take a house that most probably belonged to a Palestinian.
So yes, Bassem, did you ever look at the globe? It's huge. In a one small dot of the globe, it's almost impossible to see. There's a state called Israel. One Jewish state, small state. I know there's like 22 huge Arab countries with territories that are insanely huge, and obviously, but isn't it okay for us to have one small state? The Jewish people has been persecuted all over the world. Even today, we see it, since the Holocaust, obviously, but even today, we see that there's no really safe place for the Jewish people. Even in the modern countries, even in the US, we see right now what's happening in the universities. So yes, we started the country of Israel for the Jewish people to have their own place. So yes, we gave the Jewish people one unique right. I'm sorry. There's one small privilege of being Jewish in this world, is that you can go back to Israel and you will be able to enter. It's not that we are blocking everybody else to get in, right? Everybody can come and visit Israel. Every Arab in the world can come and visit the holy cities and Jerusalem or whatever, and the holy sites. But yes, it makes sense that the Jewish people will be able to go back to their house, and let me tell you something else about the house, because you keep saying that most likely the Jewish person that will come will take a house that was belonged to a Palestinian. Obviously, you've never been in Israel, I'm guessing. The majority of the countries are Jewish cities that were built by us. There's not all Palestinian houses to be taken. Even before the Jewish state, the majority of the land of Palestine, as you call it, was a lot of swamps and not even places that we can live. The Arab cities that you're talking about are still exist, and we're not taking them. That's okay. We don't need them. We're building. We keep building more and more cities and more houses for the new people to come. It's got nothing to do with the Palestinians. Now, let me tell you something, the most important video maybe, to respond to your clip when you're talking about how to deal with terror, because I think that's the most important of everything you said. Let's see the clip, what you said about it.
Terrorism is a virus.
Yes.
It's a virus.
I agree.
If a patient with a flu came to you and you're a doctor, how can you treat that patient? How do you treat it? As a doctor, how do you do?
We heal the doctor.
You give them nutrition, fluids, and rest. So the immunity of the body gets rid of the virus on its own. If I received that patient with a flu and I took a sledgehammer, it's like, why are you not getting better? Do you think that patient will get better? No. You are weakening him. You are making him worse. Israel did not just weaken the body of Palestinians, making them unable to get rid of hate and radicalism. They have openly bolstered about helping and giving money to the same terrorist organization.
You're right, Bassem. Terror is a disease, but it's not a virus. It's a cancer. It's a cancer threatening to spread the body and kill the body. And no matter which cancer you have, if you get on a fluid and rest, I'm sorry, will not help you. I don't know what kind of a medicine world are you living in. There's only one way to fight with cancer. Chemotherapy, and yes, sometimes surgery to cut a limb to save the body. Now, you keep picturing it like Israel, if Israel will just behave nice to the Palestinian and give them more and try to give more supporting, somehow the radical Islam and terror will disappear. First of all, we tried it in many ways. Also in 2005, we gave it to Gaza, we gave them electricity, we gave them food, we gave them everything they wanted us to start the state of them on. You keep talking about the blockade, but in Gaza in 2005, there wasn't any blockade. They even have an airport. But again, every time we give them a finger, they start shooting missiles at us. Now, what has it got to do even with Israel? Again, like I said it before, it's the Arab culture. Think about ISIS. Think about Al-Qaeda. What did the US did to Al-Qaeda for the 9/11 to happen? Why ISIS even created? What's the reason behind ISIS? They are just terror attack. They're coming from the mentality of religious. It's religious. I don't know, again, I know you are an Arab person. I understand that. You even say that your wife is an ex-Palestinian or whatever. But unfortunately, it seems like you're very disconnected from your own culture. Because even Arabs, and I have plenty of Arab friends and clients, they will say the exact same thing. It's a mentality and it's all behind religious. The Arab religious believe that they have to be in a constant war to conquer the entire war. We'll see it happening in Europe. We're seeing it even happening in the US. And most likely, unfortunately, I believe that the event that happened in the 7th of October will also happen in Europe. Sooner or later. Europe already look like it's been fallen, as we know. But those kind of terror attacks will keep happening. So I'm sorry, Bassem. I know you keep talking about, if we'll just try to give them some support and stop with the killing. Bassem, you have zero military experience. You have zero knowledge, or it seems like you're very ignorant on the subject of what's happening even in Israel and the conflict. You keep talking about different facts, what people said and what, but I'm sorry, it sounds like you have no answer to none of the really important question. Like every time somebody asks you, what would you do if you were Israel? When somebody asks you seriously a question, what would you do if you were Israel? Always the answer is, well, I don't know, but not killing. Okay, but they're killing us. They're taking us. We need to defend ourselves. So, Bassem, because you don't have zero knowledge about how to actually operate, you might as well don't talk about it. I know it gives you a lot of credit and it gives you a lot of popularity to just talk about it because, like I said, it's a very sexy subject, how to hate Israel and what Israel doing wrong. But fact-wise, we're not doing any war crime. You can compare it to first of all, the UN doesn't say that we're doing a war crime. If they would, we will get sanctions, but we're not. The US says we're not doing war crimes. There's no evidence of it. And again, we are just trying to defend ourselves. It's called the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, not the Israeli Attack Force. We don't want to attack Palestinians. We don't want to attack in Gaza. We don't want to attack in Judea and Samaria. Believe me, we just want peace. Peace, as simple as it sounds. And Golda Meir once says, if the Arab will lower their weapon, there will be peace the day after it. If Israel will lower their weapon, there will be another Holocaust. Golda Meir also said a very interesting sentence. Peace will come when the Palestinians will love their children more than they hate ours. And that's basically those two sentences explaining everything you need to know about this conflict. And if you do actually care about the Palestinian and not just hate Israel, because it seems like you hate Israel more than you actually like the Palestinian, you yourself, the way you talk, you will condemn Hamas and you will condemn the Palestinian because the war will not stop until, don't forget, we have hostages there. We have 130 hostages, little children, babies that are kidnapped there. So we will not stop. If you want the war to stop tomorrow, very simple. Bring back the hostages, stop shooting at us, and stop calling to the destruction of Israel. 3 things. We're not asking more than that. And the war will stop tomorrow. As long as Hamas and the Palestinians themselves are not doing that, the war will not stop. So Bassem, I enjoy listening to you. I wish I won't hear you so much because, again, you're so popular, but I really enjoy listening to what you say and the way you speak. And I wish one day maybe you and I will have intelligent conversation in a very calm way to talk about everything. And I wish everybody, the Israeli and the Palestinian, peace.